Hey guys, leadership isn't hard because of the workload. It's hard because of the weight. Because at some point, leadership stops being about the vision and starts being about responsibility. See, most people talk about leadership like it's an upgrade, a promotion, a bigger platform. Maybe it's more influence. But there's a part of leadership that almost nobody ever talks about. And it's not because they're being dishonest. It's because you don't understand it until you are actually carrying it. Leadership costs more than most people will admit. And that cost, it isn't money, it isn't hours, it isn't stress, it's you. Here's the tension leaders feel, but rarely ever say out loud. The higher you guys lead, the fewer people you can fully explain yourself to. Decisions that look completely obvious to you can look cold, slow, or even wrong to the people that are watching from the outside. And at some point, you realize something very unsettling. You can be right and still be misunderstood. You can make the absolute best decision available and still carry the consequences alone. That's when leadership it shifts. That's when it stops being exciting and starts being sobering. Because leadership isn't about being admired. It's about being accountable. One of the real costs of leadership is this. You absorb pressure so others don't have to. As a leader, you're going to hear things that you can't repeat. You're going to see risks you can't fully explain. And you're going to carry uncertainty without passing on that panic downstream. And if you do it well, people may never know what you've prevented. They only see the outcome. They don't see the weight that you've held on to and the pressure that got them there. Early on in leadership, I thought my job was to be transparent about every single thing. I said everything I was thinking of. I was bringing people into every single concern I had. But what maturity teaches you is something completely different. Not every truth is helpful in every single moment. Not every fear or concern deserves a microphone. Leadership means learning when to speak and when to stay quiet. And that silence, it has a cost. There's a season every leader walks through where approval it'll drop before trust rises. See, people they don't like change. They don't like delays. They don't like decisions that make them feel uncomfortable, even if they are necessary. So you're going to lose some applause. And if you're not careful, that loss can tempt you to lead for acceptance instead of stewardship. And I felt that tension personally. There are moments where the easy path would have kept everybody happy, and the hard path protected the mission, the people, and the future. And you don't get celebrated for those moments, guys. Like sometimes you don't even get thanked. But leadership it isn't validated by immediate feedback. It's validated by long-term fruit. If you need constant affirmation, leadership, it's going to drain you. If you're grounded in conviction, leadership will actually shape you. See, leadership has a way of revealing what is already inside you: your patience, your ego, your fear, your need to control. Guys, it doesn't create those things, it exposes them. I've learned that some of the most uncomfortable moments in leadership, they weren't about the external pressures I was facing at all. They were all internal. Moments where I had to sit with a decision and ask myself, am I leading from wisdom or am I leading from anxiety? Am I holding the line because it's right or because I don't want to look weak? Those moments, they don't happen in public. They happen in quiet rooms, in the early mornings, the late nights. And that's where leadership is really formed. That's not in the spotlight, it's in the stillness. There was a point where I realized leadership had changed me. Not in a big visible way, but in small subtle ones. I learned to listen more. I speak slower. I felt decisions longer before making them. And I stopped expecting leadership to feel easy or light because it's not meant to be. Leadership is meant to be weighty, not crushing, but weighty and grounded. Leadership feels heavy at times, but it doesn't mean that you're failing. It means you're aware. Here's what I've learned about leadership. It doesn't cost you everything all at once. It costs you incrementally. A little comfort here, and maybe it's a little approval there, a little certainty along the way. And in return, it gives you something way more deeper: clarity, perspective, and stewardship. But only if you are willing to pay the price. So I'll leave you with this. If leadership feels heavier than you expected, you're probably closer to leading well than you think. The weight isn't a warning sign, it's a confirmation. And here's what I've learned: leadership doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for presence, integrity, and the willingness to carry the weight that others can't see. And that cost, that is the calling.